Hey everyone! Hope you are having a wonderful March. Spring is just around the corner, and today I'd like to share with you this adorable tutorial that is perfect for this time of year. Make sure to check the description box below for a list of supplies that I used. So with that said, let's get started. For the first DIY, you will need an 11 by 14 inch frame. Now I spotted this frame at Dollar Tree and it was the only one of its size at that time, so I immediately grabbed it. First, I will need to remove the cardboard in the back, and once that is removed, I carefully take out the glass. I'm going to be gluing a decorative paper on top of it. For the paper, I am using this buffalo check wrapping paper that I got from Hobby Lobby last Christmas. Instead of Mod Podge, I'm going to be using a craft glue stick. You can also use school glue as well. I start by applying glue on one side of the glass. Then I place a paper on top of that, and that just helps me to get it on straight. Then I continue applying the glue onto the rest of the glass, and then I just smooth it out. I turn the glass over and trim off the excess paper. You're going to need a piece of cardboard that's about 8.5 by 12 inches. And this was just from an empty Kirkland Keurig box. Now I printed and cut out a silhouette of a bunny that I got online, and I traced that on top of the cardboard. And once that is all traced out, I cut it out with a craft knife, and you can also use scissors, but this just gives me a cleaner and crisp edge. I want to cover the bunny in burlap, so I cut out a rectangle piece of burlap big enough to cover the bunny. Now you can trace the template on the burlap itself, but I thought it'd be easier to cut out the excess burlap after it was glued on the bunny. So I apply a generous amount of Mod Podge all over the bunny, then place the burlap on top and smooth it out. Once that is dry, I take my precision scissors and cut out the excess burlap. To make sure the edges don't fray, I apply a dab of Mod Podge all around, and that really stiffens up the edges and keeps it in place. To finish off the bunny, I take some jute cord and hot glue that around the edges, and now you will never know it was made from cardboard. I'm going to paint the frame with a dark gray acrylic paint. Now if this came in black or white, I probably would have left it as is, but you know, I really wasn't digging this shade of brown, so I had to change that. It's amazing how paint can make such a dramatic difference. And once that's dried, I seal it with Mod Podge. Next up, I hot glue the bunny onto the glass with a decorative paper. So I just apply that all over and carefully place it down. Oh my goodness, so adorable already. I'm glad I painted the frame gray. To embellish, I'm going to hot glue on the top of the frame 2 branches of eucalyptus that I pulled out from a bouquet, and I got these at Walmart and I absolutely love them. Then I'm going to tie a bow with a strip of black and white fabric that I cut out. Now if you want, you can definitely tie a bow around the bunny's neck prior to gluing it down, but I did like it as is. And there's my bow. And I just hot glue that right down in the center of the eucalyptus. A few more greenery here and there to make it more lush and full, and then I was done. I cannot get over how adorable this turned out. For the second DIY, you will also need an 11 by 14 inch frame. I've had this white wooden frame in storage, so this was free. you'll also need 4 super jumbo craft sticks. So I turn the frame over and place 2 craft sticks down the center to measure, and I'm going to be gluing them together as one piece so I make my marks. I just want to make sure they fit nicely in the slots and that the curved ends are cut off. And once that is cut, I'm going to glue them together with wood glue. And for the sticks that's going to be placed behind, I did hot glue a small piece of wood in the center for extra support. And that's going to be facing the back and it won't be seen. For the one that will be seen, I applied with a brush a little bit of Dollar Tree spackle down the center where the sticks came together and smoothed it out with my finger. I've never used this spackle before, so I wanted to try it. And you know, it wasn't too bad. It actually covered up the gap. Then I paint the sticks white and let that dry. Once dried and before permanently gluing, I want to make sure they fit perfectly and placed evenly, so I measure and adjust and make my marks. Then I hot glue it in place. Now I know you're not going to see the back, but in the end I did end up painting those unfinished areas. Next I wanted to give the frame some dimension and give it a rustic vibe, so I lightly brushed over the frame a dark gray color, focusing more on the edges. And I really enjoyed this process. Initially I wanted to rust it up sparingly, but you know, I really loved the way it was coming out, so I took my time with this part until I was satisfied with the way it was looking. I want to place a small wreath in the center of the frame, but since I don't have a wreath frame for the size I want, I'm going to make one. You can use cardboard for this, but I did have extra Dollar Tree foam board on hand. And for the size of the circle, I just traced a 9.5 inch lid for a pot from my kitchen and a smaller one for the inner circle. Then I cut it out with a craft knife. You can use scissors, but these foam boards are not the easiest to cut and they tend to dent with scissors. I'm going to wrap the wreath with a burlap ribbon. Now I want to change this wreath up in the future, so I'm not going to use hot glue on this wreath at all. I'm going to wrap the burlap twice, and that just makes it look more full, and then tuck it in the back. And look at that, you definitely cannot tell it was made from a foam board. Like the previous DIY, I print and cut out a smaller bunny silhouette that I got online, and then I just traced that on top of a cardboard and cut it out with a craft knife. Then I cut a piece of burlap that's slightly bigger than the bunny and apply a generous amount of Mod Podge on top. Then I immediately place a burlap on top and smooth it out. Once that's dried, I cut out the excess burlap with my precision scissors. Then I paint over the burlap with white acrylic paint. Since the wreath is already wrapped in burlap, it needed some contrast. Now you can lightly brush the paint over the burlap for a beautiful wispy look, but I wanted it to be completely white, so I did add several coats on top. And to finish it off and complete this piece, I hot glued jute cord all around the bunny. Then I tied a black and white strip of fabric around the neck to make a bow, and bunny is done. To embellish the wreath, I'm going to place 2 greenery branches that I pulled out from a bouquet, and I got these at Walmart. And I'm just going to tuck these in the burlap and secure it with floral wire, which you won't even see once the wreath is done. Then I pick out a few flowers from this floral bouquet, and I believe I got this at Michael's, and I bundle and tie them together with floral wire. Then I place them in the center of the greenery and secure with floral wire and a jute cord. As I mentioned earlier, I'm not using hot glue on this wreath because I'll probably be changing it out in the future. Otherwise, I would have just hot glue away and skipped the extra steps of securing it down. I wanted to add a few more greenery leaves, so instead of hot glue, I'm going to be using these glue dots from Dollar Tree to stick them on there. And these are okay. They're not the strongest, but they do the job, especially if the object you're gluing is lightweight. Then I add a few more leaves inside the circle for the bunny to rest on using the Dollar Tree glue dots. Then I add more glue on the bottom of the bunny and behind the top part of the ear and place it inside the circle, and that bunny was not going anywhere. To attach the wreath on the frame, you can place the frame horizontally or vertically, whichever you prefer, and I'm just going to tie it to the top of the frame with jute rope. And that is it. How lovely and adorable. I absolutely love the way this turned out, and I hope you did too. Thank you for watching. Until next time, bye-bye.